In this lesson I will going to explain what is destructive distillation of the coal. For that I will show you the video uh, of the destructive distillation of the coal. Okay, number one thing, what is the definition? The combustion of fuel in the absence of air is called destructive distillation of the fuel. So we can use any type of fuel, and our objective is to understand the destructive distillation of the coal, so we will do the same thing. First we need a glass tube having a coal, and this glass tube should be connected with another glass tube having a water. Okay, what happens when we heat this coal in the absence of air? So colorless vapors basically passes through this tube by the delivery tube and inside the next tube containing water. Okay, they start condensing. Okay, the heaviest part we get, it is coal tar. Basically the heaviest condensed part is called coal tar, and some part of these vapors get dissolved inside this water, and this part is known as ammoniacal liquor. And the third part, which is not soluble in that water, came out in the form of gas. We call this gas as coal gas. Okay, now what happens when all the vapors just removed by the heating? The residue is called coke. Okay, now remember that this coal gas basically is composed of number one thing, methane, second, hydrogen gas, third, carbon monoxide gas. Okay, now let's talk about the uses of these chemicals. Basically it is used in industrial fuel, and they are also used to make fertilizers, specifically coal gas, and coal tar is used in making paints basically, or dyes, and coal tar is also used as insecticide and medicine as well. Okay, now another use is to make artificial rain. Okay, now let's talk about the summary of this one. Okay, we have this assembly for the destructive distillation of coal in the lab. Basically we have coke, we have coal tar, ammoniac liquor, and coal gas. These are the four products of the destructive distillation of coal. Okay, now let's talk about the same thing with the help of a flow chart. Okay, now when we talk about a coal and when we do the destructive distillation, so first what we get, we know that we get basically initially the gas is called crude coal gas, and the part which is condensed inside the water, and which is also a soluble part. Basically, let me tell you, this is a soluble part. So this is called ammoniacal liquor, and the second part which is not soluble in that water and which is very dense, so we call this as coal tar. And the residue left which inside the tube, that is called coke, and we also call this coke as pure carbon, because after the removal of all the vapors or all the impurities in the form of vapor, so normally in the coal the pure carbon left, and we call this pure carbon as coke. Okay, now let's move towards the what will happen if we do the further distillation. Okay, now remember that this crude coal gas may have these type of compound. Out of this I already show you the crude coal gas as coal gas, and I already showed you that basically this coal gas is composed of hydrogen gas, that is about 50%, methane gas, that is about 35%, and the carbon monoxide, that is about 8%, and others. Now let's talk about these chemicals: cyanide, sulfur compounds basically, and the benzol. And these type of chemicals basically in the form of gases depends. Sometimes we have a coal, very impure coal, having cyanide content or sulfur content or other content. So because of that content we may get these kind of compounds. Otherwise directly we get coal gas, and then the coal gas is composed of hydrogen, methane, and the carbon monoxide. Okay, now let's talk about the coal tar. Coal tar is very useful product of the coal. When we distillate this coal tar, we also get very huge amount of product that are mostly aromatics. So basically the aromatic compound in which we have light oil, middle oil, heavy oil, and anthracene oil. Basically we can just divide this aromatic compound into 4 categories. And furthermore, what is light oil? Basically this light oil or crude oil are basically benzene, toluene, aniline. Specifically these are the name of this light oil compound. And the middle oil are phenol, naphthalene. Heavy oil basically cresol, and the last, that is anthracene oil, is anthracene on, or we also call this as anthracene phenanthrene. Basically now these are the main chemicals that we find by the destructive distillation of the coal.